This podcast contains discussion around depression and suicide. If you're experiencing feelings of sadness, depression, or thoughts of self-harm, stop and seek help now. There is someone waiting to talk to you right now on Lifeline's crisis hotline, 13 11 14, or call 000.
This podcast may also contain unintentional coarse language and political incorrectness.
Welcome, welcome. It's your Wouldn't Be Dead for Quids podcast with Graham Cotter, the Augathella Fella. I'm Ruth Guice, and this is episode 5 of season 2. Today, Graham, how you doing?
Wouldn't be dead for Quids, Ruth.
Beautiful. Today we're talking about phobias and fears. From phobia perspective, there are so many phobias. Agoraphobia. I think agoraphobia is outdoor spaces, but then what's the one where you don't want to be in closed spaces?
Claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia. There's glossophobia, which is fear of public speaking. There's triskaidekaphobia, which is fear of the number 13. So many fears.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just about every aspect of our lives you can be fearful of, and there'll be a reason for that. You know, like
Spiders,
frogs,
snakes.
Yeah, snakes. And then sort of fears of exams and driving tests and going to
Graham,
the dentist.
Sorry, I've had a thought when I said snakes. My husband doesn't like snakes. Well, I mean, most people, have a healthy respect for them, possibly. But if I can put this mental picture in your head and be advised that you won't be able to wipe it once you've heard it. But I remember my husband telling me that, so he was in the army, he was out bush and he was relieving himself. As in like his bowels. He was relieving his bowels. And he saw a snake, and so pants around the ankles, running down a track, running away from this snake. I mean...
The other one close to home for me was the back in the days of the outhouse and the sugar bag with the newspaper, and my mum she was absolutely terrified of snakes. Sitting there and all of a sudden the snake sort of poked its head out of the sugar bag with the toilet paper.
Oh my God!
and it's not unlike your partner. It was knickers down around the ankles and screaming and in full flight.
We can laugh, but yeah, I guess in that situation, I probably would have been the same, except I would have fallen flat on my face. I think. Anyway, sorry, but snakes, coming back to what you were saying, talking about fear of exams, fear of driving lessons.
Driving tests, yeah. And the dentist and fear of needles, is,
big one.
There's lots of them, and some of them are quite debilitating, And one of the other sessions that we did was we spoke about the young fellow who had a fear of germs, and
yes.
Destroying his life.
I know someone I used to work with, she had a massive fear of spiders, and I got a call from her one day saying she was late for work, she couldn't come into work because there was a spider on the gate, so she couldn't actually open the gates to get the car out to come to work. She was distraught, and there was nothing, that we could do or anything we could do until that spider actually moved on. But and I respect, because she was absolutely terrified. And sometimes, we used to get these little spiders on our desk, those little jumping spiders, and that would send her into just hysterics.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it's only certain individuals have certain phases. I guess, on reflection, I don't snakes I avoid, but I don't run screaming away or whatever I see one, because on the property you see quite a few of them,
Yeah.
So, but by the same token, I treat them with health and respect. Same as spiders and what have you. So I guess each of us is different, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's just a case in point. So.
And glossophobia, fear of public speaking, is just
It's phenomenal,
massive.
yeah. And there would have been, as part of the RTT process is, there's a reason for that.
But interestingly enough, most people don't know where the fear started.
Yeah.
If you ask most people, they wouldn't be able to say, oh, it was when I was 3 and this happened.
That's exactly right.
So they can't actually trace it back. But RTT...
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. That's what you do is, your subconscious mind, that memory's buried in there, and there'll probably be a number of instances where ingrained that fear to become such a profound part of your subconscious programming. So, and it's when you you uncover those, and they're there. They're locked away there in that subconscious mind, and once you identify them and say, well, I'm not 3, and like the little girl petrified of frogs, probably a brother threw one at her when she was a little girl, and then and she reacted, and so they continued to do that, and
When I was young, I was terrified of dogs. Big dogs, small dogs did not matter. I was terrified. I don't know where it came from.
Once you identify the root cause of where it come from, you say, well, I'm not 3 years old, and fear is no longer debilitating, and they still have a healthy respect. Like me to say, if you got a fear of snakes, you'll have a healthy respect to snakes, but by the same token, more often than not, if it's a frog or a snake or whatever, your reaction to it is as scary to them as well. And if it's a snake and it's a deadly snake, well, it's going to protect itself and it's going to have a crack. So more often than not, you'll get bitten by your reaction.
Yeah.
Not because the snake's going to attack you, it's defending itself.
So we've talked about snakes and dogs and spiders and etc., but it's those things you can't see. Why am I scared of open spaces? Why am I scared of closed spaces? Yeah, why am I scared of standing up to speak? Those intangibles, that's where RTT can really come into, because to a certain extent, spiders, snakes, etc., they can present some danger, and therefore that could be understood. But when it comes to these intangibles, that's a bit different.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's no different to the other discussions that we've had. It's what happened. It's what's happened at some point in our lives, and there'll be a number of occurrences of that, and fear of exams for as a case in point. We spoke about the nuns and getting flogged. So it was a fear of failure and a fear of being punished for failing.
Yes.
And I carried that through my whole life, and fear of failure. So, and fear of being punished, and if you've had an experience, a lot of it is due to a failure of some shape, manner, or form, and some form of ridicule or punishment. More often, fear of public speaking, and more often than not, is being up in the standing in front of the class when you're only young at school, and then the kids laughing at you. You might have mispronounced a word or done something like that, and
there's the instinctual, the separating oneself from the herd.
Yeah.
Where you become a target. Yes.
Yeah. But those fears and those phobias are very real, and depending on the extent of them, quite debilitating. Like the lad you were talking about with the spider on the gate. She couldn't go to work because the spider was there and she couldn't open the gate. And it's like the story with the young bloke that with the germs. He was, it was debilitating for him. But once we identified it and focused on what he wanted to live for, rather than worrying about dying, it changed his life. And
I guess so there's a couple of key takeaways. I would always look at, as I looked at my workmate about this spider, I absolutely respected how real that was for her, even though for me I could have perhaps gotten a stick and brushed it off or done something with it. So, if you do have a phobia or a fear, you should feel okay that these things happen. But the point is that you don't have to live with it. And I guess it's at what point you decide that fear is holding you back from a fuller life and whether you're able to do something about it, because you can do something about it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It's just identifying the root cause of where that particular issue become part of your life and just saying, well, I'm not 6, I'm not this age or whatever, I'm 32, 44 or whatever, how old you are now, and saying, well, I can leave that, I can put that in the past. I understand where that fear or that phobia has come from, and I understand where it's come from, but I no longer want it part of my life, so you just you got to change that programming, and that's why part of the RTT process is I do that recording. You must listen to that recording for minimum 21 days, and once you've done that, become more comfortable and get your life back in lots of instances.
I'm a communication mentor, but I was scared of public speaking, and I can look back and say, how different would my life have been and where would I be now had I not had that fear?
Yeah, so you've turned it into a positive. And the other thing about phobias, especially with frogs and spiders and all that sort of stuff, they're a constant part of your life because you're so worried about them, you continue looking for them. A normal person would probably walk past 6 and wouldn't see them, but you'd see every single one and probably 2 that didn't exist.
Yes. Oh, goodness, that's so true. Look, if you have a fear or a phobia and you think you're ready to, you don't have to face it so much. You're going to be walking through it with Graham just to find the source of where that came from. Perfectly safe, being able to look at where it came from and then move forward. So I would suggest you can have a 30-minute conversation with Graham online. Just go to kissbusiness.com.au, look at what is rapid transformational therapy, and you'll be able to book in a time. I would highly recommend it. The other thing that you can do is follow along on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, Graham Cotter, the Augathella Fella. And we're going to be back with our next episode, episode 6. What do we have in store, Graham?
Probably the biggest step you'll ever make is to let go of the past. And it's so important. It's to make your life so miserable, hanging on to that past and some of those aspects of your past that you really don't need to drag along anymore.
And there is joy waiting for you on the other side. Absolute joy when you can get to the other side of those memories. So beautiful. I will catch you next time, Graham.
Thanks, Ruth. Look forward to it.